was one of those Saturday mornings when the world seems to move just a bit slower than usual. Sunlight streaming through the grocery store's glass doors, the faint hum of pop music over the speakers, and the endless rattle of shopping carts on the tiled floor. I'd gotten up early, determined to beat the weekend rush, but clearly everyone else in town had the same idea. The aisles were crowded, the shelves half empty, and the checkout lines stretched longer than a city bus. Still, I didn't mind. I wasn't in any particular hurry. I had a list, a cart, and a quiet plan for the day. Buy groceries, pick up my daughter from her piano lesson, maybe grill something nice for dinner. I'd made it through the store, found everything I needed, and parked myself at the end of the checkout line like any other patient shopper. There were maybe 10 people ahead of me. Parents juggling toddlers, old couples chatting softly, a young man tapping his foot to the beat of his headphones. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through messages, trying to tune out the constant beeps of the registers and the squeaks of old cartwheels. And then, like a scene straight out of an Entitled People Reddit thread, she appeared. From the corner of my eye, I saw her. Mid-40s, tall, dressed in expensive-looking yoga pants, a designer purse slung across her arm. Her hair was perfectly styled in that distinct suburban Karen bob, and her sunglasses, huge, jet black, and unnecessary indoors, sat perched on her head like a crown. Her cart, unlike everyone else's, wasn't half full. It was overflowing. Cases of bottled water, gourmet snacks, cleaning supplies, and at least 3 bottles of imported wine glinting under the fluorescent lights. She walked past everyone without so much as a glance, heels clicking sharply against the floor, and parked her cart right in front of me. For a second, I thought maybe she hadn't noticed the line. Maybe she was confused. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, because that's what polite people do. But then, she started unloading her items onto the belt. My eyes widened. She was actually doing it, just cutting in line, bold as daylight. The guy behind me raised his eyebrows. The older couple, 2 spots ahead, exchanged glances. But no one said a word. Maybe they thought someone else would handle it. Maybe they just didn't want the headache. I took a breath, then said as evenly as I could, "Excuse me, ma'am. The line starts back there." She didn't even look at me. "Oh, I'm just in a hurry," she said, waving a manicured hand dismissively. "I only have a few things." A few things. Her cart looked like it could feed a family of 5 for a month. I frowned, still keeping my voice calm. "We all have things to do. I've been waiting like everyone else that got her attention." She turned slowly, finally meeting my eyes. Her expression was somewhere between disbelief and annoyance, like I just questioned her royal authority. "Listen," she said with a tight smile, "I come here every week. They know me. I won't be long." Her tone dripped with superiority. She wasn't asking permission. She was announcing her entitlement. The cashier, a young woman who looked barely out of high school, glanced nervously at me, then at Karen. Ma'am," she said carefully, "you'll need to wait your turn, please." Karen gave a short, incredulous laugh. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm in a hurry. Just ring me up real quick. No one will mind the people behind me, definitely minded." I could hear a low rumble of murmurs spreading down the line. Someone muttered, "Unbelievable." Another whispered, "Of course, it's a Karen." I folded my arms. "We do mind," I said firmly. "You need to get in line like everyone else." Her smile vanished. Her jaw clenched, and a hint of red crept up her neck. "Excuse me?" she snapped. "Who do you think you are?" "Someone who's been standing here for 20 minutes, I replied, "like the rest of us." For a moment it was a standoff, her with her arms crossed, glaring daggers, and me standing my ground. The air between us was heavy with tension. The cashier froze, unsure of what to do. Then Karen huffed, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is ridiculous. Some people don't understand how to respect their betters." That did it. The murmurs behind me turned into audible snickers. The young guy in headphones actually laughed out loud. "Betters," he said under his breath. "Lady, this isn't a royal court." Karen's face turned scarlet. She looked around, realizing she'd lost whatever silent support she might have imagined. The cashier tried again. "Ma'am, please move to the back of the line, or I'll have to call my manager." That finally broke her composure. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and for a long, stubborn moment, she didn't move. Then with a sharp exhale, she jerked her cart backward, nearly bumping into a display of potato chips. She muttered something about disrespectful people as she rolled away, heels clicking furiously against the floor. As soon as she was gone, the line let out a collective breath of relief. The guy behind me clapped quietly. "Nice work," he said with a grin. "Didn't think anyone would actually say something." I smiled faintly, my adrenaline still running high. Someone had to. The cashier gave me a small, grateful smile. "Thank you," she said softly. "She does that almost every week." I blinked. "Every week?" The cashier nodded. "Management doesn't want to deal with her. She acts like she owns the place. You're the first person who actually stood up to her." That made me shake my head in disbelief. The idea that someone could repeatedly bully their way through a checkout line and get away with it just because no one wanted a scene was disappointing. But that was the thing about people like Karen. They thrived on silence. The more everyone ignored them, the more entitled they became. As the line moved forward and I started unloading my groceries, I caught sight of her again across the store. She was standing near another register, arms waving, voice raised, arguing with another cashier. The same scene, the same arrogance. And then the store manager appeared, a tall man in his 50s with a calm but commanding presence. He approached Karen with the kind of expression that said he'd dealt with this before and had no patience left for it. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "you need to stop harassing my staff." Karen's voice jumped an octave. "I am not harassing anyone. I've been waiting forever." "I understand," the manager replied evenly, "but you cannot skip the line or yell at employees. If you can't follow store policy, I'll have to ask you to leave." The store went quiet. Everyone nearby stopped what they were doing to watch. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked around, saw the eyes on her, the judging stares, the smirks, the quiet satisfaction on people's faces, and finally realized she was outnumbered. For a second, I thought she might lash out again, but instead she gritted her teeth, grabbed her purse, and stormed out, leaving her overflowing cart behind. The moment the automatic doors closed behind her, the entire store erupted into a quiet ripple of applause. Even the cashier couldn't hide her relief. When it was my turn to pay, she said, smiling, "You probably saved me from quitting today." I chuckled, "Just standing up for fairness." As I wheeled my cart out to the parking lot, the sunlight hit my face and I couldn't help but smile to myself. It wasn't just about groceries. It was about something much simpler, much more human. Sometimes all it takes is one calm voice to remind the world that manners still matter. The energy in the store changed immediately after she left. The tension broke and everyone seemed to breathe easier. The guy behind me chuckled and said, "Man, you handled that like a pro." I just shrugged. "Didn't want to make a scene," I said, even though my heart was still pounding from the confrontation. It wasn't about being right. It was about fairness. I'd seen this kind of thing happen too many times. Entitled people assuming the world revolved around them, while everyone else just let it slide to avoid conflict. But sometimes standing up, calmly, was the only way to remind people that decency still mattered. When it was my turn at the register, the cashier smiled. "Thank you for saying something," she said quietly. "She does that almost every week." That surprised me. "Really? They let her get away with it?" The cashier sighed. "Management doesn't like confrontation. They always tell us to keep the customers happy no matter what. But it's people like her that make everyone else miserable." I nodded, bagged my groceries, and was about to leave when I heard a familiar voice again. Karen's. She was back near the other register, arguing with another cashier. "I've been waiting forever." "This is ridiculous," she shouted. Her voice echoed through the store like nails on a chalkboard.